So this is the Apple's MacBook Air M2 and it is still one of the best laptops for programming even in 2026. But to get the best experience you need to set it up the right way, and in this video I'm going to tell you about how I exactly set up the MacBook Air M2 for coding, from essential settings to the tools and apps I use daily for coding. So let's get started. So the first thing I do is I start with cleaning up my desktop, as I don't like unnecessary icons or clutter, because a clean workspace helps me stay focused while coding. Next, I customize the dock. I remove the apps I never use and keep only the essentials. And finally, I change the wallpaper. It might seem like a small thing, but if I'm going to spend hours looking at the screen every day, I want it to look good. And for wallpapers, I use Wallspace. It has a huge collection of high quality wallpapers, and it's where I find most of the wallpapers you see in my videos. A clean desktop, a minimal dock, and a great wallpaper instantly make the MacBook feel more polished. Now that the Mac looks the way I want, it's time to change a few settings that make using it every day much better. These are small tweaks, but they make a huge difference, especially if you are programming for hours. So let's jump into the settings. And by the way, if you're into Mac tips, accessories and hidden apps, I said quick short on my YouTube channel, so make sure to check them out. And don't forget to like and comment down below, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Okay, back to settings. The first setting I always enable is tap to click. Instead of physically pressing the trackpad, I can just tap it, which feels much faster and more comfortable during long coding sessions. I also increase the tracking speed a little, as the default cursor speed feels a bit slow for me, so bumping it up makes navigating around the system much quicker. Next, I enable 3-finger drag. This lets me move windows around just with 3 fingers instead of clicking and holding it. It doesn't sound like much, but once you start using it, it's hard to go back. Another feature I always configure is hot corners. I set one corner for quick notes so that I can take a note quickly when I'm in meetings. Finally, I head over to the battery settings and make sure optimized battery charging is enabled. It helps reduce battery wear over time, which is especially useful if your MacBook spends a lot of time plugged in. With the basic setup complete, now comes the most important part: installing developer essentials. And the very first thing I install is Homebrew. If you never used it before, Homebrew is basically the package manager for macOS. Instead of downloading apps and developer tools one by one from different websites, you can install almost everything with just a single command. Whether it's Git, Node.js, Python, or other developer tools, Homebrew makes the whole process much faster and keeps everything easy to manage. To install it, just open Terminal and paste the installation command from the Homebrew website and let it do its thing. It only takes a couple of minutes, and after that you're ready to install pretty much every tool you'll need for programming. Then I replace the default terminal with iTerm2. It's more customizable, supports split panes, better shortcuts, and is simply much nicer terminal to work in. To install it, run the command brew install --cast iTerm2. And after installing it, I make iTerm2 my default terminal application. The next tool I install is Git. Every developer should be using version control, whether you are working on personal projects or collaborating with a team. So Git lets you track every change you make, revert mistakes, and push your code to platforms like GitHub. If you're serious about programming, Git is non-negotiable. And installing it is quite simple. Open the terminal and run brew install git. Once it's installed, I configure my Git username so my every commit is linked in to my GitHub account. So simply run these two commands: git config --global user.name and your username, and then git config --global user.email and your email. And that's it. It is ready to create repos, track changes, and push code to your GitHub. Next up is Node.js. If you are a web developer, this is an absolute must-have. Whether you are building React applications, running Express servers, installing packages with NPM, or working on a full Monstack project, you'll be using Node.js almost every single day. And installing it with Homebrew is super simple. Just open the terminal and run brew install node. And once the installation is complete, I like to verify everything by checking the install versions using the command node-v and npm-v. If both commands return a version number, congratulations, your Node.js and npm are installed correctly and you're ready to start building web application. Now it's time for installing coding environment, and my favorite code editor is Visual Studio Code. I've tried quite few editors over the years, but I always come back to VS Code because it's lightweight, fast, and has an incredible extension ecosystem. Simply download it from the official website, drag into your application folder, and then launch it. Now for the past couple of months, I've been using the Google's Anti-Gravity IDE. The UI is completely similar to VS Code, but I use it to speed up my development workflow with AI Assistant. It's great for understanding code, generating snippets, and helping me solve problems much faster. And now with coding environment installed, it's time to customize the VS Code. And here are top 5 extensions that I use it. First is Prettier. It automatically formats your code on save, keeping everything clean and consistent. Second is ESLint. It catches errors, potential bugs, and enforces coding best practices. Third is GitLens. It makes Git much easier by showing code history, authors, and changes directly in the editor. Fourth is Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. It provides autocomplete, syntax highlighting, and suggestions for Tailwind CSS classes. And finally, Material Icon Theme. It gives files and folders clean, colorful icons, making projects much easier to navigate. So these extensions save my time and make coding a lot more enjoyable. Now that my coding environment is ready, it's time to set up the browser I use every day for coding and for browsing. The first one I install is Google Chrome. And if you're a web developer, this one's pretty much essential. Chrome has some of the best developer tools available, whether I'm inspecting elements, debugging JavaScript, checking API requests, or optimizing performance. Chrome Developer Tool is where I spend a lot of my time. I also use Chrome for testing my websites because it's still the best browser most people use. If it works perfectly in Chrome, I'm off to a great start. But for my day-to-day browsing, I actually use Brave. It's built in on Chromium, so it feels just like Chrome, but it comes with the built-in ad blocking, tracker protection, and better privacy right out of the box. Keeping Chrome for development and Brave for everything else helps me separate work from personal browsing. It also keeps my development environment cleaner with only the extensions I need for coding installed in Chrome. I also install a few Chrome extensions that I use it in almost every project. So first is React Developer Tools. It helps me inspect and debug React applications. And second is JSON Formatter. It makes API response easy to read. Third is Wobbleizer. It helps me identify the tech stack of any of the website. Fourth is Colorzilla. It helps me pick colors from any website with just one click. And finally, WordFont. It identifies fonts used on any web page. They are simple extensions, but they make web development much faster and more efficient. Now that the essentials are out of the way, let's move on to the apps that power my development workflow. So whenever I start a new project, I begin with Figma. Whether I'm designing the UI for a website or an app, Figma is always a part of my workflow before I write any code. Next, I install Postman. Whenever I'm building APIs, testing authentication, or debugging backend routes, Postman is one of the first apps I open. And since most of my backend projects use MongoDB, I also installed MongoDB Compass. It makes managing database much easier with its graphical interface, allowing me to inspect collections and documents without writing commands. Now, apart from web development, I also build Android applications for my college projects using Kotlin. So I install Android Studio, download the required SDKs, create a virtual device, and I'm ready to start Android development whenever I need it. Finally, I install Fork. It's my favorite Git client because it makes working with branches, commits, merges, and pull requests much easier through a clean graphical interface. So these are the tools and softwares that I pretty much use it every day for programming, and with everything installed, let me show you how all of these tools fit together in my everyday programming workflow. So this is my typical workflow from start to finish. I usually begin by designing the UI in Figma. Once I am happy with the design, I switch to VS Code where I build both the front end and back end. And whenever I'm stuck, need to debug an issue, understand a concept, or speed up development, ChatGPT is always open in another window. It becomes an essential part of my workflow. For version control, I use Git, managing my repositories with Fork, and push everything to GitHub. I test all my APIs using Postman and manage my database with MongoDB Compass. For web development, Chrome is my go-to browser for debugging with developer tools, while Brave is what I use for everyday browsing because of its built-in ad blocker. And whenever I work on Android projects for college, I switch over to Android Studio and build everything using Kotlin. So this setup has been working incredibly well for me, and it's the exact workflow I use every single day. And that's my complete MacBook Air M2 programming setup, from a clean start to a fully configured development machine. These are all the settings, apps, and tools I rely on daily as a MERN stack developer. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing because I've got a lot of more videos coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.